Greetings, fellow Empyreans. I am Ashrothi, the voice of New Eden, and this is January 31st, YC125, and this is the Eve Universe Show! Caldari State, fortify Onamon, and senior commanders briefed on relay research technology. Onamon, Black Rise. Caldari forces continue to build up their military and logistic network in their newly declared, quote, Joint Navy and Militia HQ, end quote, an Onamon system, following a communique from the Caldari state authorities to Capsuleer pilots loyal to the State Protectorate militia last week. Although the official establishment of Onamon as an overall command headquarters for the Caldari operations in the Caldari Gallente militia war zone was somewhat marred by Sancha Nation incursion in the Iokin constellation, fortifications of stargates and the foundation of a new station construction site went ahead as planned under the heavy Navy Guard. The Sancha Nation incursion withdrew after a week of attempt to break the Caldari defenses met heavy resistance from planetary forces across Iokinan. Executive General Heike Torigo expressed satisfaction at the success of fortification operations in Onamon and indicated her eagerness to complete construction of the new Caldari Navy station in orbit of the 7th planet. General Torigo has commended the Capsuleers of the State Protectorate militia for their, quote, fortitude and skill in repelling the Federation assaults on state holdings, end quote, in the war zone. In related developments, General Torigo has also held a senior operational and combat command officers briefing at the State Protectorate station in Onamon, with information to be transmitted to all hands provided to attending commanders. Reports from sources within the Caldari Armed Forces indicate that briefings included authorized information on the Surfood campaign of YC-124 centered on holding Othnun's system, constructing a new Stargate, and a relay research program. All of these efforts involving heavily Capsuleer militia participation and are believed to have significantly advanced Caldari interest in the wider theater of conflict within the Gallente Federation. Perhaps the greatest interest were the additional details of the impact of the research program based on exploitation of Triglavian technology discovered within Othnun and the wider Sulfud constellation. General Torigo's briefing is understood to have confirmed that for general release that the core Triglavian technology obtained by the Caldari from the Surfood campaign is a form of, quote, novel technology capable of interstellar FTL transport, and in theory of high precision and unbounded range. Rumors from Othnun's system has suggested that the Triglavian facility was experimenting with, quote, planetary invasion technology, or some form of human-scale precision transport relay. Sources in Edencom, Concord, and the other three core empires have variously expressed concern or skepticism at the level of threat posed by such technology. One particularly well-placed source in the Amarr Empire has claimed that the Caldari research program, quote, achieved a basic understanding of the overall technology, but has plainly not achieved fine control, or even developed the necessary resources to initiate operations at even a trial stage. Amarr Empire, defiant on Transmuter technology and establishes headquarters in Mehator following Caldari move. Mehator, Divoolej, Captain Marshal Zerdan Sirkosh has reiterated the determination of the Amarr Empire to continue, quote, developing stellar Transmuter technology in order to exploit this critical strategic technology, end quote. As Supreme Commander of the Imperial efforts to, quote, pacify the rebel provinces, an Amarr revanchist term for the Mimitar Republic, Marshal Zirkosh has been at the forefront of promoting Amarr efforts to capitalize on the stellar Transmuter technology captured from the Triglavians in the Arshat system during the invasion. Sources familiar to the Amarr court politics indicate that Marshal Zirkosh, a long-time and hardline throne loyalist, is essentially a proxy for Empress Katniss I, with recent political moves involving an apparent attempt to bind the royal Ardashipper and Sorum families to imperial military policy. A struggle for power and control between Marshal Zirkosh Imperial Navy command elements alongside the powerful Ministry of War against the Ardashipper and Sorum-controlled imperial military circuits holding jurisdiction over the rebel provinces is said to be underway. Against this background, the royal houses of Kodor and Korazor are claimed to be focusing on strengthening their domestic, economic, and diplomatic power, while the Empress's own former house of Tashmerkon pursues trade and diplomatic policies firmly in line with quote, the will of the imperial throne. The inscrutable and unpredictable House Khanid has meanwhile been reported to have been rebuilding its economic, scientific, and military capabilities following an ongoing purge. While this internal security operation began as a crusade against heretics and cultists, it has also served to completely eliminate nascent opposition to King Khanid III's rule of the autonomous Khanid kingdom. While attending a ceremony to formally declare Mehator a combined fleet group HQ, Captain Marshal Zerdan Sirkosh once more commended Capsuleer militia fighters of the 24th Imperial Crusade for their, quote, vigorous efforts in defense of Holy Amarr and to advance the light of the imperial throne's wisdom across territories too long blighted by heresy, terrorism, and the radical evil of Shakurite policies. Further addressing the aftermath of the Turner incident and the capture of the imperial prototype stellar transmuter in Egmar and Vard, Marshal Zirkosh exalted that the achievements of the Amarr while pouring scorn on the Mimitar response. Quote, it is clear that the result of our operations in Turner's system was not the optimal outcome, but but in fact remains that our effort to harness the power of stellar transmutation to achieve the goal of altering local space-time topology. Moreover, having learned from our first steps, naturally imperfect because they were human, we shall persist with efforts to develop this power. On the other hand, the Minmatar, having seized control of the other facilities by low treachery and naked force, took fright and could do no other than to simply shut the experiments down. A pity, but it tells us what we already know. Holy Amarr shall prevail and reclaim all the stars for the Empress and God. Alarm and scorn in diplomatic circles as Caldari and Amarr moves to further develop Trignovian technology. Uli, Genesis. Concord Inner Circle President Seri Akanaya has expressed her deep disquiet at the increasing militarization and, quote, unmistakable moves aimed at total war exhibited by the Caldari state and Amarr Empire, end quote. President Akanaya, chair and senior Concord delegate on the executive decision-making body of the Concord Assembly, further voiced her, quote, hope that these great states and empires will pull back from the precipice towards which they are rushing and, I fear, dragging all of us. Ambassador Devin Maladate of the Federation, Ambassador Kaitan Yun of the Republic, and unusually Elder Mentor Matashi Reich of the SOCT joined President Akanaya at a press briefing of the Inner Circle HQ in orbit of Uli 8, following a weekend meeting with the Inner Circle. Elder Mentor Reich, rarely seen in public and still less given to making public statements, suggested that the dangers of any one empire exploiting Triglavian technology, quote, at this scale and with potential consequences we all witness in Turner, end quote, called for interstellar cooperation and control of such developments through Concord. Ambassador Malatate, while granting the SOCT's position has some wisdom, expressed skepticism, noting that, quote, remoteness of possibilities to resolve the issues of developing such technology by old regime of voluntarily sharing in pursuit of peace, end quote. Elaborating on the Gallente stance, Ambassador Malatate added, quote, it is clear that the situation where such an imbalance in technology of this power exists that ever more destructive conflicts is a risk, and the Federation shall act to correct this imbalance by any means necessary, end quote. For his part, Ambassador Kaitan Yun responded forcefully to recent Amarr assertions of continued development of stellar transmuter technology, quote, it is plain that the Amarr Empire under Katis has become even more warped and corrupt entity than any of us thought possible. Despite our long centuries of familiarity with the Imperial double talk and Amarrian magical thinking, there can be no peace while the Empire indulges with mad power fantasies expressed by its militarists and expansionists like Katis, a woman who has been allowed to cloak overwhelming ambition behind a facade of business acumen and rationality for far too long. Ambassador Yun continued, quote, be assured, the Minmatar Republic will act to ensure the survival of our people and the integrity of our traditional and rightful territories, no matter what it takes, no matter how long the struggle. Let me also offer a warning to the Caldari people. The Amarr are not your friends, which you know quite well, but they are not even your partners. They will turn on you the very instant it suits their purposes. Turner has revealed the scope of their ambition and lined their utter and total ruthlessness in a sign you cannot ignore, end quote. And that is it for your news from Monday, January 30th, YC 125. Thank you for watching. This has been Ashrothi, the voice of New Eden, and until next time, I'll see you in space.